Attention passengers, the Layover podcast is about to take off, where the hosts Tracy Davis and Patrick Trevino share the unfiltered, behind-the-scenes stories of entrepreneurship. The number one rule of the Layover podcast? Hold nothing back. So sit back, grab a drink, and enjoy your flight. This is the Layover podcast.
Can't accept the loss, I'm hard-headed. There's a little bit of madness to my method. Many falling off that fine line that I'm treading. I risk anything to be great, and I'm not letting nobody rob me of my victory. Number one, that's what I'm meant to be. When by any means, only thing that makes sense to me, I can make nice or make history. I got that dog in me, yeah. Turn me up, big energy, got the crowd going.
We are back. Layover podcast day.
It is.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm recovering from Labor Day weekend.
Recovering.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I didn't do much.
Tell.
I didn't do much. I did host a little barbecue. That was
Just
cool.
a little barbecue.
Yeah.
You
Got to
smoked
smoke-
some meat?
I did. You beat me to it. I did beef ribs, pulled pork, cooked for an army.
So
as
you
usual.
essentially cooked a whole farm.
Yeah.
A
sadly.
petting zoo. Of
Yeah.
Just,
Well, I want to go petting zoo. That's messed up. Make it a complaint
never
or
forget
something.
what you cooked.
No, it was cool. I got to chill, relax a little bit. Got the college footballs back.
I know. That was my Saturday. You came over and ruined my UGA football party. So just for the record.
You guys won by like 40. Huh?
It is true, but you were not wearing the proper attire.
No, I would
You
never
needed to
wear
at
that.
least wear like a bulldog hat or a jersey. I didn't even hear a hoo out of
Yeah,
you.
I don't do that. You know what's so funny though is that when you saw me come out with the with the black jersey, you probably thought it was a UGA.
I thought
one.
it was.
And then you saw the different color stripes, and it was a U. And
My
then
soul left
immediately-
my body.
Yeah, you're like, oh, that's not a UGA one.
Terrifying.
No, but congratulations being number one in the country again for
Hey,
like
you
the
know what?
17th year in a row.
We're used to it. When
Yeah,
you're a bulldog,
yeah. Hey,
you're
we're
used to
just
being number
chilling.
one.
Listen, we're just chilling. I'm happy we have a quarterback at the U.
You did. You played a good game.
We drained a swamp. Right. We actually drained a swamp.
So
there was
many
some
jokes.
very sad faces in that place.
Yeah,
but
that
very
was-
happy faces too.
So, do you guys normally not win against Florida? Like, what is?
They
the
always
history
call it a
there?
rival, but it hasn't really been a rival in the past like couple of years because SEC has been over the ACC. So the times that we have played the Gators, it's been pretty one-sided on the other side. But if you grab the early '90s,
Wow.
early
that
'90s, early 2000s, yeah. I mean, Florida was dominant. I mean, Miami was dominant. UGA wasn't even a story.
What happened to y'all?
We partied too hard. Now everyone went to the NFL.
Miami got a hold of
we
you.
never recuperated back from that, and
I'm so,
so
sorry.
on and so on.
You can
So-
always become a Georgia fan.
no,
we
I would never
welcome
do that.
any and
I would
everyone.
absolutely not do that. Absolutely not. Anyways, what did you do for Labor Day?
I got some rest. I did a little partying, then I got some more rest. It was kind of a good balance between the two. I can't lie. But had some friends over. It was great. It was good times. I had to go to bed at like 7:00 last night to recoup from
That's funny.
the festivities.
That's funny. I actually did the opposite where I slept in and then I realized that it was 11:45 last night and I was still sending emails and
Damn.
still working.
Well, I thought you were about to say you slept until 11.
No. I slept in till like, I would say at least like noon the next day. Like,
Teenager style.
yeah.
Like puberty. Like
But
you
then I
needed
realized
extra sleep.
I'm older now, so I can't.
Go to
It was
bed
hard.
at that
Yo,
point.
my gosh, it was horrible.
Did you have to take some sleeping meds?
No.
Or just a bourbon shot? To the face?
I don't have to put that out there. How I went to bed, but
Whatever
whatever worked.
floats your
But I did go to bed, so it was
Good.
mission accomplished.
Good,
on that,
good.
So
Well, it feels good. I'm really excited about this week. I'm not gonna lie. Like, we've got so much going on at Trucks, and so many people are in town.
oh, such a badass week.
It's gonna.
I love
be-
these weeks.
I do too. Where like everybody is in town. We're huddling up. We're like syncing up. It's gonna be such great vibes. It already is. We got an amazing release coming down as well, and it's just I'm pumped.
Yeah, I mean, I can't promote it any
I was
more than
wondering
this.
what you were doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was, and for those of you who are not watching the video, he is wearing a Trax IQ shirt. It's big. It's loud. We're here.
Yeah.
We're proud.
Oh yeah, we're proud. Self-named.
Sorry.
No, it's a huge week, and these weeks, especially our company where we have about 80% of our staff in Atlanta and then
Yep.
the other 20% around. It's great to reconnect with people in person
It does feel good.
and collaborate again and whiteboard other things. And part of our meetings are, it's like, we have the current state, what we're doing, and then just hearing everyone's vision for their own departments. And like, it's just the creativity just starts flowing, and
gets me
you
excited.
can't, it just excitement. My whole contribution is that I got balloons.
Wow.
Yeah.
And actually, you did not. I bought
didn't.
the balloons.
I'm actually just going to go get them inflated.
You're going to go get them filled.
Yeah.
Let's just be clear here.
Yeah.
50-50, my
Hey,
friend.
I got my contribution to this entire thing was the t-shirts, the stickers.
That's true. We got swag, y'all.
And balloons that I didn't buy, but I am going to go get them filled.
So we can put an asterisk next to that one.
Yeah. And I don't know. I didn't even order the food now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Thank goodness we have other people
just
help
showing
us
up.
do that.
Just
yeah.
a pretty face sitting there,
I don't know about that either. No, but it's going to be good to see people. These are the weeks that I love more than anything. They're very intense because there's so many micro workshops that we're doing and trainings and updates and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, everyone's face, like as they're seeing all this stuff come in and our future plans and expansion and all this, just all positive vibes.
I mean, it's
the best way to describe it.
Yeah,
positive
and
vibes.
I was going to say, and those vibes are so contagious. And I mean, I'm in a really cool place. Even personally, I'm just super happy and excited for the first time in a long time. And work-wise, super happy and excited. And just things are just really moving and grooving. And it just feels so like, I feel like I can just take a breath in a good way. And it feels awesome. So.
Yeah. Well, I have a shot was breathing, so. No, that's a joke. That's a joke. I truly think these are the weeks that a lot of companies, staff hates going to.
Yeah.
And I feel like in our company, people love it.
Yeah, everyone seems excited.
They love it. They're so excited. People were telling me like X, Y, and Z, like what time does it start? Can I get there a little earlier? I was
happy
like,
hours.
It's just the vibe is there, man. And I'm telling you, when you build a culture and you see people be excited to see other colleagues and chat and work through, challenges and find solutions, and man, that stuff's contagious, man.
It is.
Shout out to you for creating that environment.
It's all of us because we're all building this culture together. Like we're getting so many new coaching
I don't think I've
clients.
slept.
Yeah, it's a rare occurrence. Actually, I have to sleep. I will say, if I don't get sleep, I am.
But you work way differently. So we talked about this before. You do like micro bursts of like, boom, I'm gonna pump this out, and then relax. Like you're the type of person that could work on a proposal, get it all finalized, send it off for final review, and then go on a 4-mile hike.
Yeah,
and then come back.
Yeah, I have to, and then I'll
like
do another
3-4 hours where I'm like. I might not even make the 4-mile hike, so let's just get realistic there.
My brain is a little
where mine is like, if I'm in, I'm in.
You're
I'm 5, 6 hours, 7 hours straight sometimes without moving, which my doctor told me I got to start moving.
You got to start moving as you're yawning.
Yeah, because I'm exhausted. This is going to be a long week. So, anyways.
Well, no, with mine and Sasha and I, we pushed out this blog this past week, and it was something that has been near and dear to my heart. And it's really about vulnerability in the workplace. And we got so much amazing feedback. I actually got several emails, voice notes, just of people that said that it really hit home to them. And I don't know if you read it. So, I'm teasing. I know you did. You helped me. But
lesson number 1, that's a horrible co-partner. He's not reading any of the content that's being created.
I'm kidding. But it's something that I'm incredibly passionate about. And I wanted to just chat through it with you because I think you have a really unique perspective on this as well, because we both lead with vulnerability, I think. And I think that's very rare and unique in today's culture and workplace and kind of environment. But the blog was just about how important it is to, as I said, lead with vulnerability, authenticity, but to show up as a leader to a team and to admit when you don't know something, or that you made a mistake, or that it's okay. Because when you lead that way, you create this environment for everyone else on the team to admit that they might not know something, to ask for help, versus people scrambling behind the scenes, panic, stress. It creates a cohesive culture. I don't know your thoughts on that.
No. I definitely want to get this. You just reminded me of something. Somebody said something to me to compare. It's a business friend of ours. And they said that they compare us. Now, they don't work in an organization, so they don't know how
us meaning tracks, or us meaning?
Us meaning
you and I?
Me and you, our chemistry and how we work together. And they described us as this.
Oh, God.
But they started with, don't get offended. And I was like, well, obviously Tracy got the good side of this because I've already been told not to be offended. They said, you guys are like a diamond and a piece of coal. And I said, I'm gonna go on a limb and say I'm the piece of coal.
Tell
and
me more.
serious. And they were like, yes. They were like, Tracy is more of a polished individual when she speaks with motivation and all these aspects. And I was like, okay, well, she's not here, so let's talk about me, right? And so they're like, and then you're like a piece of coal.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, well, continue.
Go
Please
on.
tell me
Can you
there's more
elaborate?
to this.
Yeah.
And they're like, like before the diamond is made, it has to go through this cycle. And you're like the one that actually like makes the diamond. So like over a period of time of all the pressure and everything you make, out comes your counterpartner, right? And I was like, I don't know if that all makes sense right now, but sure. But I wanted to tell you that because you just reminded me of a couple of things when it comes to vulnerability. So yes, we do share vulnerability to our team. You share your vulnerability in a way that shows a lot of like, it's almost like a polish effect. Even like the way we talk in this podcast, right? You're you speak more polished, more business-like, and I'm more of the raw and real.
Miami style.
Yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat shit.
You
like
never
it is
sugarcoat,
what it
that's for
is,
sure.
right? And so I think that's what that person meant.
Yeah.
That is like when they speak with you, it's going to be more that business-oriented style, which is fine. I can do that too if you want me to do song and dance pony. But
we don't want that.
yeah, we don't want that's not Pat. Everyone knows I'm having a bad day if I start talking that way.
That is true.
But the raw and real side of it is that yes, vulnerability is a major part of being a good leader.
Yeah, it has to be.
And again, we've discussed this together is it's okay to be wrong, right? It's okay to make a mistake as a leader, right? People view that stuff as weakness. My feelings on, I don't want to get what's got me hot tonight, but I go on Instagram and I see people describe just the way they view success as the benchmark of success is. And that's not really how success should be measured. But I see that vulnerability all the time. Like people saying, oh, it's a sign of weakness. Like you should have no, you should not see things that way. So I'm actually going to have you start with it because mine is a little bit rough around the edges of vulnerability.
What's new?
But I would like to get an understanding of, what goes that what is that thought process as an owner of a company, of multiple companies, right? So you as a founder of multiple companies and you are very hands-on CEO, where how do you manage through vulnerability with your team without getting in your own head of like, this is weakness. They're going to think this of me and whatnot. And how do you use that to motivate staff?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, it's funny is it's been a long journey. Like I've evolved a lot from where I started when I started Trax in like 2018, 2019. And the mindset, I think you and I have talked about this. I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast or not, but the mindset that I had a lot of, and I don't mean this in a night. I know we always talk about men, female, whatever, but I had a lot of male, I won't say mentors, but people around my circle that men owned businesses. I didn't have a lot of women business owners at the time that were just in my circle. Unfortunately, that's changed. Like I got, I have a wide mix now, but I found that there's different generational changes of how people lead, and men and women lead differently naturally, like they should. We're different. But I was trying to wear this hat almost like a more masculine, right? Like I had the representation around me of how, men business owners lead. And in my head, I was like trying so hard to be that, but it was not authentic. And so I almost was scared for people to know even my age. It's funny is people in the industry didn't know my age for the past like 10 years. It's like now coming out. But I was so nervous for people to even know how old I was, for people to see me without heels on or my nails done or my hair done, because I didn't want them to think that I looked younger and all of those things, which are so silly now. Like it's just comical. But I went through this process where I really had to find my own voice, find my own way of leading throughout, growing up within Trax from start to finish. And now I really embrace that vulnerability. I really embrace that the feeling of, nobody should hide who they are. Like if you don't have an answer, raise your hand and say, I don't have the answer. If you are insecure about something, it's okay to just lean on a teammate. And I lead that way because I want other people to know that it's safe to do that as well. And so I don't know if I answered your question. It was kind of a rant, but it's been a long journey to get to this point where I feel confident and comfortable enough to be like, this is who I am. I'm showing up as I am. I'm going to have good days, bad days. I'm going to make mistakes, but we're going to do this together.
Yeah. I mean, I I agree with you. Well, first of all, I want to talk about your age for a second because that was hilarious. Because I think I didn't even know your age for like after like 2 years of working with you. I was like, I guess I gotta ask her. Like, I mean, at this point, it's not proper, but she's never brought it up. But I went through the same thing too, right? Because being young and being in an industry that's like a lot more mature in age,
Yeah.
right? There is that do they see me as an equal? Do they see me as that? I mean, that's, you don't even have to apologize for that. I mean, that is just straight society, like as is, right? You go through that scenario because you're female and you're in business and you have to, and this is no secret. So like, it's proven that women have to work twice as hard to get recognition.
And minorities as well.
Speaking as in a minority, I feel you.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Right. And so having vulnerability sometimes is taught, especially depending on how mentors were and when things were different many years ago, where you didn't show that sign of vulnerability. That became a weakness in business, right? Oh, the employees are going to question my leadership because I don't know something. All those things. I mean, that is true. That is what it was. I mean, imagine somebody told, I'm sure Henry Ford wasn't like, hey, Bill, I think I got this assembly line wrong here. We may need to change it. No, of course not. He probably fired Bill and then told me, Bill was right. Like, aspect of it. It's a different mindset. It's a different type of way of doing business. But you did answer my question, but I think I wanted to home in more is how do you yourself see that as motivating staff, right? Like, how do you see your vulnerability as a way of motivating staff?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to creating that environment that it's okay to be vulnerable. And I think that's motivating for people around to know that it's safe. They can show up as they are, that if they're not 100% perfect, that they're not, their jobs aren't at stake, whatever, like that it almost creates a stronger culture. And I think that if I can lead by being vulnerable, then it can motivate others on the staff to be vulnerable as well. And then we're all just growing together, right? And that's the environment that I always want in any business that, we have, or the tracks, whatever it is I want people to feel like this is an environment where they can professionally grow, personally grow, and that it's safe to do so. And the only way for them to feel that it's safe is if the leadership is showing, leading by example versus showing up, barking, screaming, dictating, whatever it is. I think an environment where that's inclusive, collaborative, just showing up as you are is more powerful, I guess, in today's age.
Yeah. Now let me ask a follow-up to that, because I do have a question to the follow-up to that is, how do you think that's been impacted through remote working versus in-person working? Because everything you just said to me sounds to me, again, I'm a little old school. It seems to me a little bit more hands-on type leadership. But how do you translate, and can you communicate that in a proper way virtually?
It's tough. I mean, it definitely is a transition. I remember when we started Trucks, we were all in office. And so it was easier to see people and for people to see every shape, color, moment you went through, right? Like if you're having a bad day and you're in the office, like people know that you're having a bad day. Now it's a little bit more challenging to even show people all sides of the coin, right? Because if you're having, but a shitty day, something is terrible happening, your team's not physically seeing that there. Right. So the question to your point is, how do you show them that you are going through something without physically seeing there? And it is a challenge. I think it comes from constant communication, collaboration. I think we do a really good job at it at Trax because we've got, team chats going on. We have leadership chats going on. We're always collaborating. And so people are more open in these, different channels about what's happening. A client did this, you did this, like, let's talk through it. Here's my challenge. But I think a lot of that was started because we, started off in office and we got to know each other so well. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Because I know you're really passionate about this remote versus in office, because you are at heart an 85-year-old man. And
that's fair. I feel like an 85-year-old man sometimes.
So you love that office environment, which is fair. I do too.
I do, because I think and this is my personal just opinion on it, is that I struggle connecting with people if I can't physically see you.
Yeah.
And so a good example is like when I give a presentation, I don't like to do presentations online. I really don't.
Yeah.
It's effective and it's cost efficient for an organization to be able to do as much as you possibly can.
Especially for how much you
through
spend
virtual. Right.
When you go.
Well, let's not go there. Don't need any more audits. But the reason behind that is that why I say that statement is because it's hard for me to connect with someone at a level. And when it comes to staff, when someone's having a bad day or there's a disconnection between myself and a staff member or a colleague or, whatever it is, right? I'm a type of person that says, hey, it looks like we're going through a little bit of a rough patch here. We're not in sync. Something's off. Let's go get lunch.
Yep.
And then it gets resolved.
Yeah, that
because we talk, right? You get somebody out of the element. You have an conversation with them, and you're raw and real.
Yeah.
Hey, man, listen, I felt this way about this meeting, and I was really hoping you could do this. Whatever it may be, we'll talk through it. Virtually, I can't see that. Somebody can just shut off their camera and be flicking off the camera, not agreeing with anything that anyone is saying. Right. And next thing you know, it becomes a problem statement later down the road. So for me, you're right. I'm more of that in person. What we've been able to do at Trax is that we found a secret sauce of the right amount of communication that allows things to flow freely, but still have that hierarchy of decision making as you come across, right? Collaborative working together to give the information to the department heads to make guided decisions based on team members. That is true team collaboration, right? But we even tell department heads, be vulnerable too. Because myself, is that I always tell people, I'm going to get real raw here, but I always tell people, I don't know everything. I don't want to know everything. I don't want to know what's on page 7 of a manual. I don't. That's why we have staff. That's why we have positions that do certain things. They're very good at that. I want to take guidance from them.
Right.
And so many times, leaders in organizations are too scared and to have vulnerability to say, pause. I don't know what anyone is talking about in this meeting right now. Can somebody give me a full briefing of what's going on? What are the problems? How did we get here? What is it? What are the solutions? And then boom, marketing. How does this impact you? Sales. How does this impact you? On and on and on and on down the line. For me, that's just a raw, real human being showing empathy to staff. That vulnerability is real. And that gives you more respect from your staff to believe in you and follow you as a leader. No. Don't get me wrong. There are staff members that would then still be on the own mindset that is a sign of weakness of a leader. Oh, how do I work for this person? They don't even know how to do this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, at that point, I have it raw, and it's like this. You're not hostage here. Then get the hell out. It's that simple. Leave. Version. Yeah. Right? You don't have to be here.
Well, I have a question for you because, you've heard my experience kind of going through the growth within a business, right? And who I am today. So looking from the perspective of just a male perspective, as a man, it's usually,
I am super effeminate. So,
no, but I was going to say, in the world, you typically think that men have a harder time being vulnerable or have a harder time showing that side just as a masculine energy type of perspective. Now, that's hopefully evolving and changing, but I feel like you've been able to change and capture that level of vulnerability, and that doesn't seem to impact you of you have to wear this strong man that doesn't show weakness. Talk about that. How did you get to there, and was that hard, or have you always been that way?
That is a good question.
Thank you. I tried.
That might be the best question you've asked on this podcast. Damn. And I messed up by saying I'm going to be raw and real. I'll speak for me. Okay. I've learned very quickly in my career that you cannot be a bulldog, and you may think it's cool. You may go to sleep at bed at night thinking, oh, I'm so badass. I barked all these orders and whatnot. Your team thinks you're a joke.
Right.
Because you're not leading them. You're not letting them believe. You're managing through fear. You're adding negative tactics to the way you're managing. Right. And there's no growth in that. Right. There's no growth for anyone. You're actually hurting the business. Nobody wants to be there. Yeah. The next offer that shows up, they're gone.
Absolutely.
Okay. I've learned in my career that adding empathy to my decision-making allows me to understand people. And so I've learned that you don't have to be an alpha because you're a male. And that is the most, I mean, you see it all the time. I mean, for God's sakes, there's like pills that men take. They're called like alpha this and
Okay, Pat, we don't need to talk about the pills that you're looking
well,
at.
no, you know what I'm saying, but like
I'm
all the
teasing.
marketing stuff and all blah, 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 make it this, and you're so manly, go do curls, and if you don't have a six pack, you're a loser. No, man, I just don't want to do that. That's not what I'm interested in. You want to go lift weights and do a six pack and look great? Cool. I want to go on a hike and then go drink 3 beers after I'm done my hike. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? You want to go lift weights? I want to read a book. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it is what it is, right? And so I've learned that vulnerability through a lot of things. One, personal experience in life, in my personal life, and also in my professional life. 2, I read every damn book I can possibly read, and I just don't read every damn leadership book that I see on the internet. I tend to want to read a lot of history of old entrepreneurs, old owners, like, you know, Fords, the Fords, the GMCs, all of those, right? Everything, Abraham Lincoln. And why I read those things, right? It's not that those things are like, you can't manage the way Henry Ford did, right? It's just not in a way, regardless, even in the auto manufacturing. The union would just eat them alive, right? You know, so you can't, but you take the critical thinking that they had to go through to solve problems.
Sure.
And so you take that practice and you keep practicing it, and you quickly realize that you're not going to know everything. So therefore, I take vulnerability as a sign of strength.
Sure, absolutely.
Because if your team understands that you're there to lead and help them develop, everyone is growing at the same exact time. So vulnerability is very important as a leader.
But did you ever feel insecure at any point? Like, did you ever go through a phase where you felt like it was like being vulnerable was a weakness, and then you had to learn that it wasn't? Or have you always been vulnerable from day one?
I've always been vulnerable since day one because I was raised by my mom.
Oh, I love that.
So my mom always taught me compassion and empathy.
Yeah, that's powerful.
But I have been in situations where I did feel uncomfortable. But then I reminded myself that I don't really give a shit what that person thinks about me. If they think that I need to change my style because they don't agree with it, then I'm in a situation where I should not be in. Absolutely. I'm with someone I shouldn't do business with. I'm with someone that, quite frankly, they're just a dust in the wind and I don't really care.
Yeah.
I have been blessed enough that I never had to work for an organization in my entire career. I can safely say that was a toxic environment. I have never had to deal with that. That is a blessing. My last venture that I worked with, my mentor was the CEO, right? And so I learned the way how to respect people and treat people and be human-centric and not just be about the bottom line or profit. And then I think just naturally grew into the way I am personally. And it kind of blended in. And don't get me wrong, I can be a hard ass about things. And I want things done a certain way and what's best for them. And all those aspects of it, right? Those are all parts. But that's management and that's expectations of what you want to execute what you're looking for. But what I like of when someone has that vulnerability is that I'm going to see 15 problems a day, right? And I'm really not seeing 15 problems a day, but I'm just putting a number out there. If I see 15 problems a day, I shouldn't be solving 15 problems a day.
No, absolutely not.
I should have a team around me that wants to see that and accept that as a challenge and find solutions for it.
And you have to empower.
And we're blessed enough, we are blessed enough that we have a current situation that we have the best in the industry and they continue to grow and we're all growing together. Yeah. So that is the journey of a startup.
Absolutely. And you mentioned earlier when you were talking, about your mom and so forth, but empathy. And I remember I was sitting on a panel once, this was a year ago. You were at the panel at the Lola for Upwards.
Okay, well, first of all, I was not in the panel. I just want to make sure. I was in the audience.
You were in the audience. I was on the panel.
And I was the only male.
Yes.
In this entire thing, which you did not tell me.
My bad. Minor details. I didn't realize that was my first real event and that, with this organization.
Which is a great organization, by the way. So shout out to them.
Yeah, shout out. We're going to do a lot of cool things with Upwards coming on the line. And we'll do a little sneak peek after this and I'll tell you about it.
I did get a shout out though from them. Remember, they were like, hey, Pat, the only guy here.
The only guy there. But I was on that panel and they asked what was I think one aspect or just characteristic that you think makes a good leader. And my answer was empathy. And I think as number one for me is empathy. You can go through and say, you've got to have the confidence, you have the brains, the intelligence, whatever it is. But empathy is my number one, because I think if you can truly connect with your team, your co-founders, your whomever, and actually connect on a human level, then you actually have a joint mission together. But you have to realize that they're human. You have to realize that they're just like you and I'm just like them. And, we all have our lives. We have good days, bad days, family problems, business problems, pet, friends, whatever. And so when you can actually connect with people on that level of saying, I see where you are, I see where you're at now, let's grow together. Here's where I've been. Here's what I've learned. I want to learn from you too. I think that is what makes an amazing leader. And that goes back to being vulnerable enough to show that empathetic characteristic.
Well, I think it makes a good leader, but also makes a great company.
Yeah.
Right? People, I'm going to just say it, but people want to work at Trax, not because we're changing the world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're
one
kind of
bathroom at a time.
One bathroom at a time, right? And we're going to trademark that shit, so don't try to take
should.
it. But it is because they see the culture. They see how when our employees, which I don't even like that word.
Yeah,
I call
like
all of our employees our partners,
yeah.
right? How all of our partners are out there, happy to be out there, engaging with our customers, passionate about the product. Go find me someone who works at Salesforce. I was like, Salesforce, what am I telling you, man? That thing's going to change your life. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
No, man, they read a script. They're there for the check. They're there for their jobs. And we're blessed enough to have a team that's not the foundation of how we're built. They're built there because they believe in the vision. They believe in the product. They believe in the organization's goals and objectives and what we're trying to achieve together as a team. So, yeah, vulnerability and empathy, or I would put that up there too as one of the top characteristics for any leader. It doesn't matter if you're CEO, entrepreneur, whatever you want to call yourself. I think that everyone needs a level of empathy. How shitty would it be if you own a company, you make millions of dollars of what your company's worth, but every employee doesn't like you. They talk bad behind your back.
Yeah.
They don't care what's going on. They're only going through the processes. We have scenarios at Trax that if I've seen people, you say, oh, I'm not going to come in today. I feel under the weather. There's people who are talking about getting you a card. I was like, guys, she has a headache. What the heck?
Yeah.
But that shows leadership. That shows that they connect with you at a human level. And that's very powerful in an organization.
We have to lean on each other. And I think that's, if people who are listening that are ever, starting businesses, growing them, I think that is some of the best advice that we can give is whether you're doing it alone right now or you starting to, grow a team, make sure you have that connection and make sure you show that it's okay to be a human.
Yeah.
And, I feel like the industry has changed quite a bit. I mean, if we just talk about aviation specifically, I feel like it's gotten more accepting of, that level of connection being a focal point. Now it's not there yet. Like, I don't think that you walk into an airport conference and you see people like gushing their feelings.
No.
But I feel like when I started in it and where my dad started, it was very much like, I don't know, that stoic leader type. I'm going to, run very robotic. And now you see more minorities, you see more women. Like, I feel like the environment's getting more, I don't want to say fluid, maybe. I don't know what the
I was
right
going to
word.
say it's not rough around the edges anymore.
That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, it's not rough around the edges.
PC again,
it's a little bit more safer of an environment to be vulnerable. It's okay. I mean, you don't know the answer to something, man. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
why I disagree when people say, oh, when you're at the top, it's lonely.
Yeah.
No, it's lonely in your damn mountain because your ass don't have anyone with you.
Yeah.
I went on the hike with everyone on my team, and we're all at the top.
That is
right.
a mic drop moment.
Yeah, I'm telling you, shit got to be real sometimes.
Shit gotta be real, bro.
But that's just what it is, man. I mean, honestly, that's what makes a great company great and continuously succeeds and creates longevity of an organization. When you don't have to post a job and resumes are just coming in naturally, you're doing something right.
Absolutely. And, I think about it, like, there's no amount of money in the world that I think is worth doing it by yourself and lonely.
No, it's horrible.
Like, I would rather have less tangible assets and have, more and more people around that are uplifting. The vibe is good. The culture's strong, that you're doing it together. Like, I would trade the money for that type of environment.
Well, that's because you measure success differently.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that before, right? When people measure success, is the goal of your company to build it for 5-6 years, have your exit strategy preset, you're out of here for 50 million. You don't give a shit if you're accepting, if you're building a culture, because you got your exit strategies. You're just trying to get multipliers, get this thing going, and see ya, you're gone, and you move on. You get to put on your damn LinkedIn. You're a 2-time exit strategist, a multi-millionaire company, and you feel good about yourself. Well, that's just what people do, right? And then you write an ebook that you didn't even write. AI wrote it for you, and then you plaster your name on it. You sell it on Amazon. You didn't even get it printed. You just print as you go. Like all these things all occur, right? And so really it's how you measure success, right? Your success is a different interpretation of what other people's success may be, which is okay. But I still think it doesn't matter what your measure of success is. You still should have empathy within your decision making. Because it's very lonely I don't know this, but it could be very lonely to own a company that nobody wants to do business with you.
Yeah.
At a face level, and they're only doing business with you because they're required to do business with you.
Well, we just talked about my measure of success, which is really just the environment, the connection, the community, and seeing something that's created to grow and excel as a team. But what do you measure success? How do you measure success? And the number of Nike shoes that you have?
You read my mind. I literally was going to say shoes, fashion. I'm not really into cars anymore. I used to be into cars. I'm into more antiques now. Okay. But no, that's a joke. No, that's a joke. Me, I measure success. I thought that was success. Let me get a little real with you. Please. I thought that was success. Yeah. I always worked at, I got to see how much money's in my bank account, how much I made on this, X, Y, and Z, and just so toxic aspect of it. And then one day I just woke up and said, what the hell is all this shit for? Yeah. One wise woman once said to me, Pat, I don't know why you work so damn hard and hoard all this stuff if when you die, someone else is going to just spend your money. I was like, shout out to my mom. Yeah. I was like, you're absolutely correct. And then I just literally said, all while I'm still treating people with compassion and shit. Yeah, this was just how I was measuring success. And then I just said, no, none of that's success. Yeah. I can click on a mouse and all the money's gone, right? I'm not really a type of person that cares about that type of stuff. I measure success as, it's going to sound cliche, but happiness. If I can look at going to work as not work and as a challenge, and I can laugh and joke and I don't want to say this, I'm going to say, I don't know the right way of saying this, but banter, I guess, back and forth, right? With colleagues and laugh and shout out to one of them that works for me that she speaks my language. She calls it speaking Pat. Yep, the Pat whisper. Right? But her and I have built a really good relationship where we know each other, right? And we can poke. I call it poking the bear, and that's what I call myself, a bear. But
it can be a dangerous game.
Yeah, but I measure success to me as that true, balanced Zen. I'm learning even more what success means to me, right? Because your success always changes.
I was gonna say it has to evolve with
and it has evolved for me. For me, it's no longer the grind and the hustle, although that brings me excitement. It doesn't bring me joy. And I've learned that. There's a difference between excitement and joy. Yeah. And excitement to me is that rush. I'm an extrovert. I need that adrenaline. I want to present in front of 100 people.
But that's fleeting.
Yeah. And now I can do that Monday through Tuesday or Monday through Wednesday, right? How that big rush. Now I've learned to control my schedule, control my workload, so that at the end of the week, it's not like, thank goodness it's Friday, because if you're saying that at your job, then you don't have a
dangerous.
good, right? I say it as in, now it's my time to reset my brain and enjoy the joyful things in life versus, and the joyful things for me are, I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to end there right there. I got too raw right there, but there's a big difference in that.
And I think, one thing that I measure success on is freedom. Like my freedom of time, my freedom, like that is the core of, I am not structured where like I like to dress up, go to work 8 to 5, do the robot. Like I'm not that way. Like freedom is equivalent to success. If I can, like you said, work for 3-4 hours, go for a 4-mile walk, come back, work for a few more hours, but do different things throughout the day and match my schedule based on how I'm feeling. And like, that is success to me versus having to have being chained at a desk is like, that's like I'm like tweaking out if you can't see me. It just makes me
no, we
anxious.
can't see you, but
just thinking about it. But like when I think of success, it's freedom with money, not having to think about it, freedom with my time, being able to just pursue whatever I'm passionate in, having that peace, like that's success to me. And that can be done in an organization with an amazing team, because when you all lean on each other, like everyone is doing their job and balancing out the ship, right? It's not just one person carrying the load. It's so balanced that, you know, everyone does have a little bit of freedom to navigate their own days, their schedules, and all of the things. And I don't know, that's to me is important.
Yeah, I have this like weird thing in my head that I call it the roll call, the internal roll call. And when we work on things, this is something that I've now started to vocalize more out, where it's like, we're going to do this to a product. And I'm like, okay, pause, hold 1 second. How is this going to impact this department? How is it going to impact this department? Does marketing, do you sign off on this? And everyone thinks that's, oh, well, that's too much. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not, because we all need to be on the same page, move in the same direction at the same exact speed.
Yeah.
Period. But vulnerability, again, I go back to that.
No,
that is very
thank
important.
You. Yeah,
so.
Thank you for sharing and chatting with me about that. It's something that I'm really passionate about, because I think it's important for leaders to evolve into this. I at least this is my personal belief. Not everyone's going to agree with me. That's totally fine. But I think that a new age of leadership does, you know, vulnerability is a big aspect of it. And when I teach and coach people, I tell them that I'm like, just show up as you are, like just be real, be authentic, because I went through a period where I was not I was not authentically me, and my leadership style represented that. And I remember talking with you, and I mean, we're getting real and honest today, but I remember talking with you, this was years ago, and there was something that happened, and I won't go into it, but the way that I handled a specific situation, you called me out and you're like, that is not who you are. And you knew that because you knew who I was, but how I was trying to show up was not the actual leader that was true to me. The characteristics, the qualities, how I would have handled that situation, it was very clearly me trying to be something I'm not.
So can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah.
Not that we have to go into the moment, but that has to be exhausting.
Oh, it was
because I think it takes away from the energy of what you were trying to do.
1000%. And and this is being real and honest. I mean, I didn't jump out of the gate and say that I'm this like perfect CEO and I'm the perfect founder and all these things. Like I had a lot of hard lessons to learn along the way, and I learned a lot, and I feel like I'm more confident and happy and authentic than I've ever been really in my life. But it took a journey to get to there. And yes, when you're wearing this like hat, that's not your hat. When you're wearing a mask that is not really, who you are, it's exhausting to maintain. And so when I thought like, okay, I wanted to show up for this situation regarding you a certain way, and I needed to look a certain way and be this, communicated in a certain way, like you saw directly through that and you're like, that is not her and that is not okay. And I'm fortunate enough for you to tell me that, and we worked through it. But it was really eye-opening for me. And
Did I say like that, or was it a little bit rougher on the edges?
It was probably a lot rougher. I'm just trying to be PC.
Yeah, no, but that's thanks for sharing that, because I know that we talk a lot. We've talked so much when it comes to business, and we always joke around the yin and yang, or apparently this person, Nicole and Diamond.
I like that one much better.
I don't. I'm a piece of damn coal.
I wonder what carrot I am.
Yeah, jeez. And so I agree with that, and I think that when we give advice to young entrepreneurs, I always tell them, man, like, be you. Be you.
Yep.
And you'll be surprised of how much you can get out of it. We have an employee, I'm not going to say their name, but we have an employee that I recently was just traveling with them, and we did his massive sales presentation, and then we did a training presentation, and we did a couple of different presentations while we were on site, but we spent about 2-3 days on the road. And he said something that really resonated with me, actually really impacted me. He says, you're the most unique executive I've ever worked with. And I said, okay, finish. All you had to say. And he goes, truly the brand that you and Tracy have built at Trax really resonate to who you guys are. He goes, when we work on things together, we're raw and real with each other. and we call each other out, right? I mean, not me and you, but I'm saying like.
But you and I do call each other out.
We do, but that's. Yeah. But I'm speaking more of like, this is going to impact marketing, so we need to stop here for a second. Look at that. We really do that. We analyze things a lot. He goes, we just presented and nailed it out of the park. And I'm looking at you the entire time, and you're rocking a pair of Jordans with a sports coat and a gold chain. And I said, yeah, because I don't know what the gold chain has to do anything with my presentation. If they're staring at it, then obviously the jeweler was right. Bling, bling, right? And that's a joke. I didn't say that part. But what I'm getting to is that your story reminded me of, I want you to do the same exact thing. I used to have to go in there with a white dress shirt because the white dress shirt meant you had power. And you had to wear a red tie or a blue tie, and a black suit if it was formal, blue suit if it was business. If you want to get casual, if you want to get man. Yeah. No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love dressing up. No, so for sure, you know me. Like I have my suits. You have to do it for you, not because that's why you exactly. Yeah. If I want to wear that suit because it makes me feel good inside, and that's my then you do you, boo boo. You dress that and you do you. But me. Listen, I'm not wearing wooden shoes, the Italian leather. My feet are sweating. It's hot as hell. I'm on my feet for 8 hours. That's just not me. I'm not doing that.
Well, one thing I want to tell, and we close. I'm going to ask you one more question before we close out. But the piece of advice that I would tell someone is that give yourself the grace to also go through this journey because it's okay. Like my story, I recognize that, I was trying to figure out my own voice and how to lead and, was insecure about my age and all these things, but it's okay to go through those experiences too. And
it's absolutely okay.
Don't feel bad if you have had to, learn these hard lessons, or if you're in the middle of that, like it's okay. Everyone has to go through a journey, but just showing up as your authentic self, there's nothing better in this world. And I mean, it makes you feel confident in your personal life, your professional life, everything, because you get to a point where you're like, I don't give a shit. I just don't give a shit. Listen, like this is me. Whoever's around me wants to be around me. If you don't, cool.
See ya. Yeah. And here's what I will say. I'm gonna hopefully this is directly to the males. Okay. Men. It's okay. This whole hard knocks, you gotta be certain alpha, et cetera, et cetera. No. That is BS. First of all, I don't care what woman you think that you're trying to date. No woman wants a straight alpha. Again, I'm going to just speak from my experience of some always dominant, always dictatorship, blah, masculinity. I got to take care of you, blah, blah, blah. Nah, man, come on, be gone, please. Yeah. Right? I think that a lot of times if we can shift that mindset in people's personal life journeys, it would bleed into the professional life journey. So for me, I mean, shit, I cry at Star Wars. I mean, I'd be the first person to tell you want to see me cry, put on Star Wars. Put that last scene when Obi-Wan Kenobi is fighting,
Tears.
Like ugly cry. And I already know what's going to happen. I've seen the movie fucking 100 times.
Well, I was going to ask you for one quick question. So now all I'm imagining is you. I cry during, if I read White Fang, if you're no. Okay, White Fang is a really sad ass book about a wolf, right? Hence White Fang. Yeah, I picked that up. Yeah. But I read that book, I'll still cry. If I watch Charlotte's Web, I won't cry. But if I read the book, I'll cry. I'm 38 years old, I'm crying at Charlotte's Web. Love it. Well, I was going to ask you. So, do you have any advice for someone? Let's say just men in general, because I think it is. Maybe I'm generalizing, but I do feel like it's probably tougher for men to show up in a more vulnerable way than a woman.
Absolutely. Look at the NFL. Look at the NBA. Look at all the pro athletes.
I'm putting it, I know people are different, but that's what I feel.
Yep.
If you have someone that you see as like that insecure feeling of like they feel like they have to show up in a different way, what advice would you give them?
Well, one, I'm going to say what you feel is not what you feel. Yes, I respect you saying what you feel, but that is actually real society. Men are taught not to be vulnerable.
Yeah, don't show emotion.
Spanish minority men are taught to even be less vulnerable.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this is proven statistic.
I believe it.
I'm going to just pull this card, but if Peter goes to mommy and says, I didn't make the soccer team, I'm crying, it'll be okay. Participate. Right. If Julio doesn't make it, it ain't no crying. Go outside and work harder, and you'll make it next time.
Yeah.
Life's tougher. Here's more challenge. We got to pay the light.
Yeah.
Right? That's real talk, right? That's real stuff. So at a very young age, a lot of Spanish men are taught not to cry, not to show your feelings, be the alpha, be the breadwinner, be the masculine person. That's taught to us as a very young age, right? I was blessed enough that my mom wasn't like that, right? But I have family members that, it's sad, but they get lost in life because they don't know how to ask for help. They don't know how to communicate. They internalize things. And then that becomes a negative attribute. They get involved in things they shouldn't. They make bad decisions. They're overshadowed by things, whatever. So my advice to men is, I hate to say it because I don't want to steal it from like the million of commercials we've seen from the NBA and Gatorade and all these companies, but they're right. It's simple. It's okay. If you feel overwhelmed, stressed, that is not a sign of weakness.
Nope. That's
you being a fucking human.
Yeah.
You're supposed to feel that way. You're supposed to feel different feelings. I think that, and this is me speaking, and please, if you don't, send your comments. If you're a male, email me. I'm sure I get a million of those things already when it comes to this type of stuff. But I think that, and this is no shot at men, but if you look at CEOs around the world for multiple companies, grab the top 50 companies and go see how many men, how many women sit on the boards of those companies, how many women sit at table side with the male CEOs. But then go look at how many men sit around a woman CEO.
Yep.
I'm telling you, you are right. It is a different mindset. It is, men see things differently than women do.
Sure.
But the vulnerability for males, we need to change.
Yeah.
Men need to change. I mean, the advice I would give is simple. It's okay to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
That's simple.
It is. Well, thank you. And thank you for being vulnerable with me today.
Yeah.
It was nice. And I think, this goes hand in hand with the blog of just how important it is to show up, that it's okay to be vulnerable. And guys, we can't stress that enough, especially as you're starting a new business or in an organization. Just show up as you are.
It's okay.
It's okay.
That's why they make tissues.
That's why they make tissues. Well, I wanted to end. I've got a couple things I wanted to chat with you about because we have a new event that's coming down the line.
Shout out. Okay.
So if you're good, if you're okay with me.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we got a couple events, product launching, a new side project.
Yeah, there's a shit
a lot
ton
of stuff going on.
So we have a new event that we're going to be announcing more details coming down in September 12th. Will be a more formal announcement, but we are going to be hosting an event this is for primarily women.
Hey,
sorry, dude.
I'll be the only guy there again.
You'll be the only guy there again. It's all good, but it's with an organization, Upwards, and we're going to be hosting a joint event, Mind and Social and Upwards, and it's going to be geared towards a lot of women who are either in positions that are hiring, and then women who are in positions looking for jobs that might be in transition. We're also going to have a tract where there's new entrepreneurs and existing, seasoned entrepreneurs. And it's going to be a really cool networking, mix and mingle, networking type of event in a fun way, not stuffy, like, here's my business card. But it's going to be connecting so that people can walk away with real connections, real job opportunities, learning real lessons.
That's amazing.
So that's coming out. I am so excited. We're planning it right now. More information to come, but we're working on that, and it'll be early 2025 January timeframe. So cannot wait, and we'll give you more details. But yeah,
am I invited to this event?
Yeah, you can come.
I'll be the door guy.
Be the bodyguard in the front.
Nah, I wouldn't go that far. I would just be the door guy. But no, that's exciting. That's a great organization.
Yeah, more details.
Honestly, and I think there should be more organizations that can do things like that. I mean, that's awesome.
All right, dude. Well, I'm getting a little hungry. I'm not gonna
same
lie.
here. But one thing that I did want to say just before we sign off is that we are ending our season in 2 more episodes. So we have this one, and then we have 2 more. So technically 3 by the time this gets released. And we are going to take a break. We have so many ideas and so many guests we had to push back just due to schedule conflicts. But we are committed to season 2 on a consistency of releasing on a weekly basis.
Batching them up.
And we also have a side project that you're going to help me with.
Oh, am I aware of this side project?
Yeah, no, but you are going to help me with, and it's a cool concept.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be a continuously running
Mm-hmm.
podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be fragmented out into several topics, but it's going to be a short series. So
Love
it's not going to be a 30 episode
Sure.
type season. I think it's going to be homed in on, we haven't decided on how we're going to do the drops, but we'll have more information on it coming up soon. But it's going to be more of storytelling.
Ooh, what types of stories?
Well, I can't drop that, Tracy. I mean,
I only get a
we
little
have
bit of a sneak
we have a
peek.
marketing team that's helping us, create this
We only get
buzz.
a tiny sneak peek. Hopefully we'll get more.
Yeah, well, the tiny little one will be it's raw and real stories as this is a business, but this is going to be a show dedicated to dads.
I love it.
And I think that a lot of dads don't get, I don't want to say the recognition by society, but they definitely don't get to tell their stories about a lot of things. And I'm going to leave it at that because I know I can ramble and give out my whole script. And then tomorrow I wake up and it's a show that's the exact same concept.
Good sneak peek. Thank you. Well, I'm excited to help you out on that one. And I know it'll be successful, dude. A lot of people are in that same boat. So
yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, it's time.
It's time. So all I got to say is, man, cry me a river. Right? No, it's a joke. Don't do that.
We'll play JT.
But go ahead. You want to close this out?
Yeah, guys, thank you so much again for tuning in. We got a few more episodes left, so make sure that you are subscribed to the Layover podcast on Apple and Spotify, that you're following along at the Layover on Instagram. And then, of course, as always, sign up for our newsletter so you get more behind-the-scenes content and information like these new side projects at mindandsocial.com/subscribe. And y'all, take care.
Can't accept the loss, I'm hard-headed. There's a little bit of madness to my method. Many falling off that fine line that I'm treading. I risk anything to be great, and I'm not letting nobody rob me of my victory. Number one, that's what I'm meant to be. When by any means, only thing that makes sense to me, I can make nice or make history. I got that dog in me, yeah. Turn me up.